All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Drop Dice. This is Chris, and we are back for the War on the Plains series of L5R with Fantasy Flight's newest version of the game, which has actually been really fun. Our story has been kind of chaotic, and I think some of the threads are going to start coming unraveled around them. Well, actually, they've already unraveled. We're just going to see what we can do with this pile of string now. Let's go ahead and kind of jump right into it. We'll do our channel introductions and stuff about midway through the game like we normally do. And then we'll continue on. There is one announcement I do want to make before we get into the actual show here. When this show is over, since it is slated for 6 episodes, we will be doing a follow-up kind of capstone video where I will sit down with any players who are wanting to join me in that process. And I'm going to go through all of my prep notes for the campaign. And we're going to start from session 1 to session 6, talk about what I actually prepped, what the players did, how the players received that, how I received the players' actions, and do kind of like a creator's commentary type video with that. And I suspect it'll probably run basically the length of 1 episode, but it should be really good for anybody who is interested in getting behind the GM seat for L5R, which can be a little daunting just because it's a very different setting for a lot of people. All right, so when last we left our intrepid friends, there was a moment where we thought we would lose Takao. And this episode kind of picks up almost immediately from that scene. That same heartbeat that we went out on is the heartbeat that we come in on. And the bandages are being wrapped up. And we see it from Takao's point of view. He's in and out of consciousness. Like, he opens his eyes and he can see Tombo wrapping bandages. He can see Itagawa like pressing down on the wound to keep the blood from flowing out while Tombo's trying to work in those bandages. And then he closes his eyes and he kind of like opens them again. And there's this weird feeling that he is somewhere else. It feels like a bamboo field. There's a river nearby and he can hear the sound of songbirds. And then his eyes close and drift again. And when they open, he can see fireflies and the eternity of stars above him. It feels like he's in a field. And then he closes his eyes once more. And when he opens them, he hears the songbirds, swallows that are residents in Shiro Akodo. It's been 3 days since Takao took his hit. For the most part, you've been waiting in reserve because Akodo Dono has said that he will see all of you once his son, and he was very specific in those words, his son was able. Moto Hitomaro has been arrested and is inside a stockade just outside the castle. He's been slated for execution, but it's on hold until Takao comes back. Because Akodo Dono is fully aware that Moto is the one who is responsible, but he needs to know the details, to determine the proper punishment. Because Moto is a samurai. He's been through his Genpuku, and he is earned the right to correct in legal discourse. Itagawa, I think you're going to be the first person to notice that Takao has come around. Tombo is in the room with you as well. She's been kind of trading off with you. She sleeps on this fainting couch that's been brought in while you are up on watch, and you can hear kind of the rustle of the sheets as Takao kind of sits himself up a little bit.
I would quietly kind of approach him as to not disturb Tombo, and come down to his bedside and probably kneel down and in almost a whisper, just, Akodo-san, you're awake. How do you feel? We thought we were going to lose you there for a while.
Takao kind of like frowns and sits up, and you see him like grimace a bit. His hand immediately kind of going to this area on his back where he was, essentially stabbed. Kind of feeling the pain and the pressure, and just like breathing and taking a deep breath, a sharp breath, and how long have I been out? What has happened? And he'd kind of like sit up with like a jerk, like realizing, and then kind of grimace. Hitomaro, what have they done to him?
He's currently under arrest and is waiting on our word, your word. Your father awaits your reports. He's alive, but he will be sentenced to an execution. You've been out for 3 days. If not for Tombo, I don't think you would have awoken. And then I kind of look back at her and give like a thankful look.
And
You're muted, Chris.
I know, that was good. You can see that Abun, her Yojimbo, has woken her. She's kind of come around, righted herself, and she's putting her little steepled hat on. And she says, it's thanks to the kami that we were there. Tell me, move your arms and legs a little bit for me. See if you can, if you are ready to leave the bed, that is. What I need is an athletics check from you.
Okay, athletics. What ring is this like?
You can do any ring that you feel is appropriate. I'm calling for athletics. I'm letting you decide ring.
Okay. Athletics or fitness? Do you mean fitness?
Or sorry, fitness. That's what I meant to say.
Okay. Yeah, I was a little confused there. Okay. I think I'm going to use... I think I'm going to use air, just because he doesn't want anyone to worry, so he's going to try and do it, like, gracefully, like he's okay. Like, he's trying to put that off, even though it's not my best ring, for sure.
Okay.
Okay. That is... I'm going to take 1 success and an opportunity.
Okay. What I would like to do is, this is normally outside of what nerve damage calls for. Nerve damage specifically says when physical sensitivity is helpful. I think to sell the moment that's happening right now, I would like you to just go ahead and do the re-roll of 2 dice containing successes or critical successes. You will also gain a void point once you do that.
Okay. Well, same thing. I just have an exploding success now and then opportunity.
Okay. So with a success and an opportunity, one of the things that you could do with that is to play off that it's not as bad as it looks, since you're using air and it's very subtle.
Yeah, I think he would kind of just nod and kind of start to sit forward, moving his legs gingerly off the edge of the bed. I mean, 3 days lying down. I mean, there's definitely some weakness there. I think...
It's a little unsteady at first, but you find your feet underneath you without too much issue. It was only a TN1, so you were successful already.
And I mean, as he's getting ready to like stand up, like he's kind of putting his legs over the edge of the bed, you kind of like think back to that night and like everything that happened that night, almost like a flash of remembering. And he kind of like looks up at Itagawa, who's kind of been assigned as his Yojimbo. And he'd take his arm, like, to pull himself up, like, to show him that, like, I mean, more than anything, like, he knows it's not his fault, like, that he did this. It's my own fault that this happened. So he shouldn't feel bad. So I'd let him help me up as, like, a sign of acceptance still, before getting to my feet. And, like, I think Tombo would definitely notice. But he pulled himself up, like, gracefully. Like, other people probably wouldn't, but, like, her watchful eye, her skill in medicine would probably see a little bit of a shake in his left leg, as if it's not supporting like it should.
Now that you're up, you realize that you are in what used to be, it's kind of a guest house is what it is. It's in Akodo Shiro. It's a small house that's inside the garden. As children, you remember you and your brothers kind of turning this into a fort where you play with your cousins and they would try to siege the fort from you. But it's actually been converted into kind of a a room that was at one point used for storage is now been converted into kind of a makeshift hospital bed area for you. The cherry tree that you met your brother at during the first session, I should say, is out in front of you, and you can see that there are no blooms left on it. The fall wind is clinging to the air, and the window that opens up to this courtyard, you can see there are several of the Henin attendants in the castle kind of scurrying back and forth. They're grabbing banners, some that you recognize from your father's seals and the Lion Clan in general, and they're pulling those out, and you can see other ones running in with Imperial banners, kind of a deep emerald color green with like a lighter green to show laurels of the Emperor.
Yeah, I kind of just smile as I stand up and see this room, and I look down.
I should correct myself. Hold on. Laurels of the Emerald Champion and a chrysanthemum of the Emperor. I would have gotten eaten alive if I made that mistake.
Good save. We didn't know the difference. We were just here for the game.
Hey, I got hardcore fans. They'll tell me I'm wrong.
Okay, fair enough. But I pull myself. I kind of like look around this room like smiling, and I kind of like almost chuckle a bit to myself, kind of remembering, because I'd look at one of these shoji walls. I'd be like, one time Ryo ran straight through that wall. He burst in on a meeting with a bunch of geisha. I kind of just like shake my head smiling. Father was furious. And then a single tear would kind of like drip down my face, like passing down along my chin, as I kind of remembering, knowing that essentially my brothers are both, for the most part, because Matsuo might be say gone though for now. And I just kind of nod.
You can see that in the room, they've actually taken your armor and put it onto a scarecrow for you. Your helm is on the top, but your gauntlet has been locked around a second helm. It's the one that you recognize that was Ryo's.
Mm. Yeah, I'd approach the armor. And I don't remember. Do samurai need help getting their armor on, or is that just like the whole knights and straps thing?
Typically, someone who is a ronin would do it themselves.
Yeah.
A lot of times, samurai do have servants to be able to help with that sort of thing. Tombo has servants of her own that she's going to order to assist you, because she's not fully certain that you should be wearing your armor and things like that. Yeah.
No, if I'm going to meet with my father, I'm putting my armor on. Okay. And I would not let anyone else help me, because I'm still ronin.
Your armor is Ashigaru armor, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. Oh no, it's lacquered, I think. Okay. Yeah, it's lacquered.
Lacquered armor has the war gear quality on it.
It's also ceremonial. Does that matter?
Okay. Then ceremonial will actually, no, it does matter.
Okay.
So the reason I bring up war gear is this is your castle. Normally that would be okay. You could just walk into court with all the war gear you wanted and no one will say anything to you.
But technically I'm still ronin, not part of the family. Yeah.
A, you're ronin, and B, there are Imperial banners running about, so that means that there's probably someone more high-ranking than your father in the castle right now, and it would be considered improper to do so.
Okay. Well, knowing that, then I wouldn't.
Ceremonial clothes, which you were able to find, like a fresh pair has been provided for you. Actually, this is something Itagawa will know. Itagawa, you had a chance to look at these clothes when they were delivered. Not only are they in lion colors, it has a lion mon on the back.
Oh, that's huge. That is like gigantic. That is. I think I would know this too as I look at these clothing, like knowing what this means.
You would look at it and you would see the colors, but it wouldn't be until you actually picked it up that you felt the weight of a back mon, because it's not a small patch by any means. It covers your entire back. It's a huge embroidery, and you would reflexively look and you would see the lion. But I wanted to give Itagawa the fair warning, because he may want to say something before you start flipping it over.
Yeah, I would probably bring them to you if I could, since you're like kind of using my shoulders, and I would mention that Akodo Dono is eager to speak to his son. Obviously,
and that would stop him again too, because you say his son. And now knowing what I know, I'm not sure. Like Takao looks down at the mon and he looks at this clothing, and he's not sure he wants this anymore.
And if I could see the kind of unassurance,
there's definitely a hesitation.
I don't know the conversation that you had, right? So that's still a secret to me. I would say
there's definitely other clothes available, but I do want to say that that is something that Akodo Dono specifically tried to get to you.
Yeah. And I would say no need to be nervous, my friend. You've worked hard for this moment. It is the reason I have been tasked as your Yojimbo. Be assured that you earned it.
And I would just kind of nod. I wouldn't say anything. And I'd look at this clothing and I'd feel them on between my fingers, kind of just like rubbing it between them. And I would decide I would put them on. But I mentally decide to do it not for my father, but for my house. That's why I'm putting them on. And so I would put this clothing on. And I guess I'm supposed to go and meet with my father. So I would start making my way there. And as I'm passing Tambo, I think that I would stop. And I'm gonna unmask even though I don't need to, because I feel like I am going through something very difficult right now. I would kind of stop and look at her and say,
Is this before you exit the door or after?
Before.
Okay.
I would stop and turn and look at her and I'd say, I wasn't sure before if I could trust you. You have to understand that I didn't know who you were. And I'd look at her, and this is kind of like my frankness, like my open dialogue essentially coming through when I'm unmasking. I trust you now, and I need to know, what does it mean if I saw my brother, my dead brother? What does it mean if he spoke to me?
She kind of ponders about it for a moment. You'll have to forgive me, but my specialty lies in divinations and dealing with the kami. Ancestors work differently. I have an education in this, but I'm no expert. In fact, the Shugenja from your own clan would possibly be better to answer this question. But typically when an ancestor calls upon the living, it's because they have unfinished business, that they want some truth to come to light, or they're missing some sort of honor that prevents them to go to the realm of heroes. If you ignore it, some, like the Kitsune, will tell you that the spirit will linger and eventually become trapped, becoming a ghost or hungry dead even. Others will tell you that the spirit is a great boon, but one meeting is usually not enough to be able to determine if they will be with you long or if they are even here to help you. I'm sorry I could not be more helpful, but it is the most I know in the subject. And she kind of bows reverently is kind of the best way to put it. She's looking at you differently now that you've kind of made this announcement.
Mm-hmm. And he would slowly kind of nod. I will have to speak with my family Shugenja then. Thank you. You have done much for the household, and it is all I can do to tell you thank you now. But I will repay this. And I kind of nod to her and turn and step out the door.
As you
stepping out the door, by the way, I would release Itagawa, and I'm walking by myself now.
As you start to leave, you hear her from the background, from the building as you're exiting. Takao-san, I will be staying for winter. Akodo Dono has extended the invitation, and frankly, my clan cannot look past any invitation to join the Imperial Winter Court.
And look at her as she's saying this, and I'd kind of nod. then you will be a respected guest.
The clan that, the family within your clan that normally is your Shugenjas is the Kitsu. And they're actually known for speaking with the dead. They're mediums. That's their specialty. That's who she's kind of referred you to. And then I think we're going to go over to Akoma. Akoma-san, you are in a meeting, or at least you're about to be invited into a meeting with Akodo Dono, and your current boss, I guess, is the best way to talk about Akodo Katashi. You hear them kind of talking for a little bit. They're laughing. You can smell, because you have that keen scent or keen senses. You can smell that they're steeping tea. It's not quite as good as maybe your brothers who have keen smells or keen smell, but you know that they're definitely brewing tea inside the other room. They're chatting like old friends, but there's something off. Like a normal person who would not pick up on it, but there's this underlying tone of testing and pushing each other. They're definitely taking kind of a water approach. They're pushing against and then pulling back when they're being pushed against to only turn that momentum back on the other person. Most of their conversation seems to be very surface level, but there are a few moments where they get a little serious about the upcoming events. Now, you've been around the court for the past couple days, so you know that Winter Court is coming, that the Emperor has decided that Shiro Akodo is going to be the place where this event will happen this year. You've helped out in preparations, and you know that only a certain amount of historians will be considered the official Akoma historians of Winter Court. Now, the Emperor will, of course, bring his own, but you've managed to gather a little bit of information, and you know that Akodo Dono is thinking about granting you the privilege to be the lead historian this year, simply because of the service that you've provided. You hear the footsteps of Katashi going towards the door, one light and one kind of dragged foot. It's a signature step that you've pretty much imprinted on your brain after so long with him. And you can hear him do a little stutter as he opens the shoji doors. And Katashi looks to you with kind of this open smile for just 1 second, and then he kind of pulls it back, but he's still almost too proud of himself right now. So it's like he tries to pull it back and gain face again, but he's definitely smirking. Akoma-san, Akodo Dono wishes to speak with us. And as you enter the room, you can see that Akodo Dono's desk is covered with scrolls. And it doesn't take very long before you notice that they are scrolls with your own personal chop at the bottom, or at least the chop that you use in your current profession. Akodo Dono has been reading your scrolls.
Internally, there would be kind of a streak of pride, an internal grin, but he would show more restraint than Katashi would, and he would not display it outwardly. He would continue that same stoic expression that's expected of him. And he would just greet the two lords who have summoned him with whatever courtesy is most befitting of them.
After a few moments, they invite you to sit down at the table that is inside this room. Akodo Dono has a very unconventional table for Rokugan. It's actually like a desk. So he has a full height chair, and there are two like campaign style folding chairs that you would see on a battlefront on the opposite side of his desk where you would be sitting. His desk actually, now that you're close enough to see it underneath all those scrolls and things like that, he has a map of Rokugan scrawled across it, and it has been inlaid with silvers and golds. The territories themselves have been done in such a way that they can actually have the territory lines redrawn and moved across. So it's a very modular, purposeful table. Everything inside this room is very utilitarian, and it just kind of gives that feel right away. Akodo Dono takes a seat in his chair, which is kind of modeled after like a bigger kind of bishop's chair, where it comes up into one big peak. And if you look at where the armrests are, he has two lion's heads that are facing forward. He kind of waves his hands over your scrolls, and he says, "I've been doing some reading. And while I am no historian, Katashi speaks highly of your work, and I've seen your own dedication. I've asked you to come here because I need someone I can trust. If you want to make any skills on him at any point, please let me know. I need someone that I can trust inside the Winter Court this year. I need an Akoma who will write history. The truth of history."
Yeah, Hideki would just look. Your words are flatter me, Akodo Dono. That you have taken such time to read my work. I believe that I may be able to help. As I'm sure you're aware, I've had the honor of following your family, keeping note of history, the way most befitting of your legacy. I plan to see that through in a way that best serves.
Of course. Now, there's always been some contention between the imperial histories and those of the Akoma. I personally believe the Akoma records to be more accurate, but don't let the Emperor hear that. And he kind of smiles to himself, thinking that he's very clever in his joke there. With that said, the Akoma historical documents sometimes do allow for certain indulgences. And he just lets that hang in the air. To be very clear, he's asking that you alter things to make it look better, to make him specifically look better, so that you can have this position in Winter Court. He's laying it all on the table. You can see not Akoma. You can see Akodo Katashi like nodding along, like he's already fully agreed to this plan.
Yeah. Hideki would stifle the slight smirk that would want to come over his face, prevent it from showing forth. But he would just give a slow nod.
Excellent.
I have made certain that I've established reputation. I'm sure you're aware. Truth telling. What I say is fact. That's all there is to it. And I'm sure, and he'll kind of nod knowingly, that facts will show your family in great light. And I don't know if you want me to make a roll or not, but basically I have the advantage famously honest that we took to basically show that, like, if anyone's going to give a little extra indulgence to the lion, that I'm a good choice because people will take my word at face value more often than they won't.
Yeah, I think a sincerity check is going to be required here, because he is definitely scrutinizing you, because basically he's asking you to lie on historical documents to make him look good, and he wants to make sure that he can trust you to do that.
All right. And what I don't see sincerity. Is that a differently named thing?
Am I using the wrong name here?
Could be like sentiment.
Sentiment or courtesy or
That's
something?
what it is. I keep forgetting that they did these minor changes to the skill names between 4th and 5th edition.
Alrighty. And am I going to know my target number?
Yes. It will be a... Let me look at the targets here real quick so I can make sure I'm doing this right. It's going to be a 2.
Okay.
And what approach are you using?
I think I'm looking at the sentiment. It's kind of strange for the scenario.
It's a scholar approach. So there's recall, which is
yeah.
survey, water, theorize, fire, analyze, air, and sense, which is void.
I think analyze makes the most sense of basically I'm trying to like look into what he's looking for, try to figure out what he's trying to see in me so I can make sure that I give him that.
Yeah,
more than
absolutely.
anything
That gives me
else.
some good ideas of some like custom things that we can spin advantage on. I do want to remind you guys, because we haven't been using it a whole lot, if you use void, you ignore all strife from the pool that you roll.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
as we
can you only use those in
void
in
might be useful.
skirmish? Oh,
What was that?
So because this is relating to my advantage, does that mean I can re-roll dice?
You absolutely can. I believe it lets you re-roll up to 2 dice with failures on them. Or no, just 2 dice, right? Yeah, just 2 dice.
Yeah, just any 2 dice. I think it is. Ooh. Perfect.
Sorry, I've also been looking at Genesis lately, and I'm getting the dice systems.
It's all good. So that's actually going to be 2 successes and an advantage.
Excellent. So with that advantage, you could definitely do anything that is in the air. One of the things that might be useful to you is to learn Akodo Dono's demeanor, which if you learn his demeanor, it kind of tells you how he unmasks, which might be useful to you.
Yeah, I'll use that. I like that.
Okay. So you learn that Akodo Dono is ambitious. If you are to take the fire approach with him, you tend to be more favorable in his eyes, meaning that, it tends to be less favorable for him. Meaning that fire checks are social checks that use fire as the stance are harder to do. Water checks are easier to do with him. I feel like these numbers are backwards because ambition makes me think fire should be higher.
Well, it could be that like he likes people who are going to be subservient to him, so it serves his own ambitions. Where fire people are probably going to have their own.
Yeah, I suppose so. And when he unmasks, he is most likely to bend his principles.
I see. Yeah, I think that I kind of see that fire in him and that need for things to go his way. I can kind of see it on his face and in his eyes. So when I kind of respond, it's like as calm as I can be to ensure that he gets the sense that I'm under his thumb in a way.
He says, good. Well then, Akoma-san, I would like to welcome you as the official Imperial historian, or the official Winter Court historian for the Akoma family. Take 10 glory.
Awesome, will do.
Your first task will be recording this conversation.
Of course, Akodo Dono.
He gives kind of a wry smile, like record it correctly kind of thing. And then he looks to Katashi and he says, Katashi, you never cease to amaze me. And all the times that it seems that the kami and the fortunes were against you, you've always managed to find a way to make yourself incredibly useful to the family. I will see that you are recognized as well for this. Katashi gives like a very slight bow and seems quite proud of himself. You've known Katashi long enough. He's an ambitious man. He is definitely trying to move up the ladder. It's not uncommon for Akodo to be generally ambitious, but there's something. It's something like a freshly sharpened knife with Katashi. He's always got a plan. He's had to rely on his mind and his cunning for so long that you know from interacting with him, this is just a step towards whatever he's planning. And he's got that look like everything is going according to plan. And then your eyes shift to Akodo Dono, and you can see almost the same characteristics mirrored in the man that is his uncle. Each of them think that they're playing the other. This is why I like you having Subtle Observer. I get to talk about fun stuff like this.
Yeah, and his inner mental cogs will start turning with everything that he's seeing. But as usual, will do his best to notate the conversation as impeccably as he can, with no input or reaction of his own to involve.
Moments later, you hear a sound rapping on the shoji door. It's really about now that you've noticed, because there are servants everywhere in a castle. It feels really odd when you're in a room without them. It suddenly occurs to you you've been in a room without them. This room has been entirely vacant the whole time. Akodo Dono yells, "Enter," and you hear "us" from behind the shoji doors, and they open up. There's a servant who is prostrated all the way to the floor, not even looking up. His forehead is touching the floor panels, and he says, "Akodo Dono, Akodo-san, or Akodo Takao-san has awakened. Shall I send him in?" And Akodo Dono, the Daimyo, stands up and he says, "Good. I have Akoma here and I can receive the full report. Katashi, I'm sure you have other things to attend to. Please return my reading to the library. I don't want to see any of it get tampered. These articles could be a great treasure to the Akoma family in the future." And Katashi gathers up the scrolls into this just large, oversized scroll bag that like, it's almost comical how much scrolls he has with him because of how meticulous Akoma has been about writing everything down. He'll leave, and then we'll have all of you join in to this scene here. The only one who will not be present, but she is available if you need her, will be the two Tombo. Really, they won't be inside the room, but they are available if you request them there. Basically, because Akodo Dono sees them as being in your employ, so they shouldn't report to him. That's kind of the way he's thinking of it. The shoji doors close behind you, and it's kind of like sound has been turned on in this room again for Akoma. There are servants moving about, cleaning up some dishes. They're taking things away. There's another servant who you recognize as the Karo, the person that takes care of all the other servants in the house. He'd be like a house carl in like a Viking culture. The Karo is actually adjusting some of those battlement lines between the lion and the unicorn on the table, while Akodo has circled around to receive the report from each of you. So did you wear the Lion Clan ceremonial clothes?
Yes, I did.
Okay. When he sees you, it feels unreal. He looks at you the way that has haunted your dreams for so many years. You've had this dream that you never entered that duel, that you went to your Genpuku ceremony, that you passed, and that your father was proud of you. And it's almost like the same smile, the same sense of pride as he sees you in the lion colors. And he says, you have all done a great service for the Lion Clan. I cannot begin to thank you enough. All of my servants, all of my people are feeling much better. The disease that has been haunting Shiro Akodo was taken care of before the Emperor could arrive. I am elated to hear how successful you are. Moto Hitomaro is in shackles, or excuse me, in stockades, awaiting his execution, but I still need to know what exactly happened in the shrine. Please. And he claps his hands. Servants come in with some more of these like campaign folding chairs, and he sets them out, and there's a small fire pit that's used to heat the room. He kind of sets you all around the fire pit, and a couple of charcoals are added to kind of warm up the room. The castle is much warmer than anywhere else inside the kingdom. And they have all the firewood that could be necessary to make it through winter, even with all the guests that are coming.
So this is this where we start reporting?
Yeah. He sits down and he kind of like opens it to you, to all of you, to kind of tell him what you want to tell him.
Mm.
Now we can keep this simple as you guys say everything to him and you don't beat around the bush and you're completely blunt, and then we can just give you his reactions, or you guys can role play out and tell me how you would say things. If you're more blunt, you will lose honor for being blunt to a daimyo, but you may be able to directly ask questions.
Yeah, I think seeing as this is important, I'm for role playing it out. What do you guys think?
Okay, cool. I was kind of hoping we'd go with that option anyway.
Okay. Yeah, so Takao would kind of start to sit down, and his leg almost gives out on him as he lowers himself into the seat. And I think as he kind of rests into this chair, this campaign chair as you called it, there's almost a sense of irony in his mind that I almost imagine that his left leg, since it's kind of all shaky now, it's almost the same as Katashi's, his left leg too. So he thinks it's a great irony that the commies have essentially done this to him, have given him, not necessarily as bad as Katashi, but have lamed his leg in a small way. So he would sit down. No, I didn't bring Ryo's helm because it's lacquered, it's armor, and it's war gear. So no, I don't have it with me.
That you could have brought in just because it's a piece and you're not wearing it. You can hold stuff like that. Technically, you could bring your war gear inside, but you wouldn't want to wear it inside, kind of thing.
Okay, well then, yeah. I mean, I would have brought Ryo's helmet. I think just because of what it symbolizes, and I can explain what we found best with this.
Mm-hmm.
So I bring it in and I'd set it on my knee, careful to respect it, so that my father can see it. And as I sit down, kind of this leg almost giving out. I think I'm just gonna throw something in there because you said the subtle observer thing. You would notice, Takoma Hideki, that he is not pleased that he is wearing this clothing, and you would know why too. But he is playing it off like he is pleased with what is happening. But it seems very fake to you, like the smile never reaches his eyes, basically, something like that. So you kind of sit down and nod to his father out of respect, and just go into it. Starting off with when we met Tombo, and I would kind of turn it over to Akoma, since it was his idea first to start the tea house. I would say we began by searching. Wasn't it a tea house again? It was the
1,000 Notes Inn.
Yeah, the 1,000 Notes Inn, and this was Akoma's idea, and I would kind of pass it over to him, giving respect is due. Let's start with you.
Yeah, and Koma Hideki would be doing this strange thing. It would almost, if you weren't used to it, seem otherworldly, where he's talking and then he's also writing what's happening at the same time, where he's writing what he's saying in third person as he's saying it. He would just go into him. Yes, we heard rumors that the sources were of common folk, so we decided to investigate the inn. And I just immediately forgot the name of the inn that you just said, so I apologize. But I would say the name of the inn, the 1,000 Notes Inn. We were able to gather report from people in the inn, commoners and samurai, that strange things had been happening. Horses that seemed hollow, otherworldly events, a general chill that seemed to settle across everybody. And after a time, I was able to find out perhaps where some of these things were coming from. And I brought this back to the others. And he would kind of look over to the other two to continue with what they did with that information.
Yeah, and say it was then our idea that Itagawa-san and I would make our way down to the merchants. Is like the road, like it's like a merchant's like street basically.
It's called the Merchant's Gate. But
Okay. Yeah, we made our way down to the Merchant's Gate as we heard that was where the strange occurrences had begun, and Itagawa was able to gather some information for us there, and I kind of turned to him.
Yes, I spoke to several of the caravan merchants about an altercation between Moto's group and another group of merchants in the city. And we learned that most of them were sent away from the city by your command, Akodo Dono. But Moto managed to perhaps sneak by that exile. It was from there, after speaking with these individuals, that we decided to call upon Tombo, a Sugenja that has been staying here, someone that you invited to the Winter Court, actually, to help us with a rather impressive divination ritual. And from there, we learned that there's something going on with a shrine. I forget the name, Chris. I'm sorry, of the god that the shrine was to.
That is to the Fortune Agashiko. Simplicity.
Agashiko. From there, we were ambushed by hideous spider-like creatures in the night. After that, we led the charge to the shrine and regretfully was poisoned by one of these creatures and not able to quite perform the duty that I needed to the degree that I did. And that is unfortunately why Akodo-sama, referring to Takao, was injured. And I apologize for that, Akodo Dono, and I'll bow my head in apology, kind of touch the floor.
He looks to you and he says, please continue with your report. You can rise. You're here at my request.
Thank you. From that point on, when entering the shrine, we got a little bit separated, and Akodo-san was the one who found Moto before any of us had realized it and intervened. I don't know the full events that happened down there, but he stopped the corrupted one from performing some heinous ritual. I will let him explain the rest, for he is the hero of the day.
I had found, well, my men had found some documents within that shrine. It seems that he was using Maho. As far as they can tell, he wasn't corrupted yet. He hasn't succumbed to the Shadowlands taint, or that's what the Shugenja tell me anyways. But regardless, these are heavy charges. And he looks to Takao next.
He was not in his right mind. He believed that what he was doing was going to stem the tide of something called the Long Night, is what he called it. An event that would transpire soon, in which the Akodo would need the entirety of their strength to survive. As I spoke with him, he did not seem malicious, merely confused. He thought what he was doing was right, though it was wrong. He believed that in bringing Ryo back, that he would be preparing the lion most efficiently or effectively against what was to come. He did not mean to harm me. He was merely trying to accomplish what he was believing in. Though it was stopped, which is good.
He looks to the helmet that's sitting on your knee, and He then turns to Akoma and he says, Akoma-san, if you could please honor me by stopping your report for a moment.
He would just give the slightest of nod and lower his writing hand without a word.
He seems to break from his normal kind of distance that Akodo Dono has generally with everyone. And he becomes very human in the moment. He's not unmasking, but he kind of is. It's kind of the best way to put it. He's definitely doing things that are outside of what is expected of him as a daimyo. And he says, I thought I lost all 3 of my sons due to my own folly. I sent you away to never be seen, and I held a grudge that was unneeded. I sent Matsuo to the front lines. Luckily, Matsuo has returned to us. But for a while there, I thought he was dead too. And the Yoriki found Ryo. He kind of locks in on the helmet again. Ryo, I can't deny, is truly dead. I'm sorry, Takao, but we had to burn his body without you. I don't know what has possessed Moto Hitomaro to do anything that he says that he's done. Man speaks in riddles, corrupted by the Shadowlands, no doubt. But I don't want to lose another son. If you will return, I would like to welcome you back to the Akodo family. I will have all of the past stricken from the records, or at least documented, that you've earned your place, whichever you prefer. But I need my sons, those that are left, to be close. I don't think Mitsuo can... And he kind of like chokes it back, like it hurts his pride a little bit. I don't think Mitsuo is fit any longer to take over for the main branch's leadership. Without you, I have no heir.
I think there would be this long moment of like tense silence.
I need to make a roll for him. Can I get the highest, the highest vigilance from the group?
The highest vigilance?
Let me just make sure I'm using the right thing here. Sorry, the highest focus from the group. Oh, this is going to go poor for him.
Much better for me. That's a 5.
I've got a focus 5 too.
Okay. Thanks, Dice Roller.
Nice-oo.
Okay.
I was getting really in the moment there. That music's nice.
Let's see here. Let's see if he's able to beat this. Okay, that's 1. He needs to sell this 2. He is lying. Some of what he is saying is true. You are very clearly his only chance at the family continuing past him. But you're not sure exactly what is lie, what is truth inside there. There's some things that are just very obvious. Like, you already know that he has some involvement inside what happened after you left, what happened with Moto Hitomaro, but he's passing it off like this man's crazy. He's been corrupted. I don't know what happened to him. He disappeared about the same time you did. Like, he's very, it wasn't me kind of backing away from
he's trying to save as much face as possible.
Yeah, like he's definitely trying to save face. He did get some opportunity in there, so let me look at what he can do. I think he wants to, because he really hasn't taken any care in your character, actually, Takao, because you've been a ronin, you've been gone for so long. He considered you so far below him before. He wants to know one of your disadvantages, which I think is going to be nerve damage. I think he's going to get that one.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely nerve damage. Like, it's subtle, but it's definitely probably something you would notice.
Feel like your father has this weird, like, analyticalness to him, and you can feel those eyes that you haven't felt in years, like taking your measure in this conversation.
I almost guarantee he knows both of my disadvantages, Scorn of Akodo too, because he, as we know,
he propagated that one.
He propagated that, so he would have to know that.
Yeah, he knows that one.
So he knows both of my disadvantages, and like I said, I feel like there's this long moment of like intense silence. And if like anybody who's super visual would who watching closely would see that I mean, Takao kind of like rubs like his upper lip, but from the side you see he's grinding his teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's angry, he's confused, he doesn't know what to think, but he also knows like this is my family. Like, it's true, they don't have anyone else but me. And so he would kind of just slowly start to nod.
If you would like to find out the repercussions of you not taking over as heir, what would happen once your father dies, you could roll a government check, and I can tell you what would happen.
Okay, let's roll a government check. Let's do it.
Okay.
I imagine while he's kind of like going through this silence too, there's Itagawa like kneeled beside him, and when Akodo Dono offers the role of taking back the family, he kind of holds his breath in anticipation. This is what he's been sent to do, and then the silence goes on for a moment longer, and then a moment longer, and then a moment longer, and he has to actually like exhale, and he's at this point through the mask kind of looking over at like Takao, almost like in the corner of his eye, I guess, trying to like see why the hell he wouldn't be just like right away saying yes.
Yeah. I've got 3 successes and 1 advantage in 1 strife.
Cool. Your target number, which I was going to reveal to you, was 2, so that's cool. Your advantages, how many do you have?
I have 1 advantage, 1 strife, and 3 successes.
What stance did you go in?
I went with water.
Okay.
That because it says water is like surveying. Like I'm kind of like trying to like survey my mind. I feel like trying to remember information.
Okay. I think one of the easiest things you can do for spending advantages, just looking at the list of options here, is doing it efficiently here.
Okay.
Like quickly running through, because like every Akodo, when they go through their Genpuku ceremony, they literally trace their lineage all the way back to the Kami Akodo.
Yeah.
To prove their lineage. So like you have to sit there and think and calculate back your family tree, find where the nearest split is, and then do some backwards math to figure out who the next in line is. Like it would take normally at least a few minutes and some writing to figure out who it is. But if you spend some advantages inside there, I think you can mentally compute that.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. After a few moments, you realize that if he is still alive, Katashi's father would be next in line. If he is not, Katashi himself would be next in line to rule the Akodo household.
Yeah, and I know that he would destroy my household. So I would slowly kind of start to nod. And what would be the formal way of accepting this, of saying that I will return to the family, essentially?
So the formal way to do this is to basically give him your consent. He will then look to the Karo who's inside the room, and the Karo brings over a katana. You recognize it to be the katana of your grandfather, and a wakizashi. It's a daisho set. The daimyo picks it up kind of reverently and stands looking towards you. It says, Ronin Takao, this is my gift to you. As long as you bear the swords of your grandfather, serve with pride with the lion. And he extends them to you.
And I would say, and this is very important that I'm phrasing it this way, and say, I will gladly accept this honor on behalf of my family.
He kind of like smiles, completely missing the subtext.
Yeah. And I would take the wakizashi, take my old one off, this one that I've been carrying, that I just probably picked up somewhere, or that I probably, and I would replace it. Is this one C made also?
Yes, this one would be.
So I've got a C katana and a C wakizashi. Yeah, so I'd replace it next to it. I almost imagine one's lion's fang and one is lion's paw, and like I'd put the two next to each other, and it feels complete.
You actually have your grandfather's sword already, so he would have just brought the wakizashi.
Yeah, so I'd attach the wakizashi next to the sword, and I would kind of take my old wakizashi and just set it on the ground, or set it on my chair next to the helmet, which I've kind of placed there, and kind of stand resolutely, essentially, like not showing any weakness in my leg or anything, or trying not to.
And I think this is really the first time that we see your wakizashi. It's like an unmarked, kind of cracked, plain wooden case that like just clearly epitomizes you shedding the Ronin title. Your current glory and status, what are they?
My glory is 52, my status is 20.
Okay. Your status will jump to 45.
Okay.
Immediately. Akodo Dono will suddenly remember himself, and he says, Historian, please, I forgot to tell you to continue, but my son has returned, and this must be documented. Tonight we'll have a fine meal, a pheasant. The Emperor should be arriving within the month, and so will his guests. I'm sure you've heard, but the castle will be preparing for Winter Court, and you're all invited as my guests. Now, on to my second reward. Itagawa, please stand.
He does so quickly.
Itagawa no Akodo Oda. Your family has served mine for generations. Every so often, one performs with such honor that it must be recognized. If you will have it, I would like to offer you the Akodo name as well. I understand you come from mixed lineage. Do not be afraid to deny one name for another. And he kind of smiles, kind of knowing that you're probably going to tell him no.
He looks, I guess he doesn't really look because he still has his mask on, but taken aback by this, not expecting it whatsoever. And he says that he wouldn't be taken back by me saying no, but could we go over or do I have to make a check too to like understand the formalities of the situation?
You definitely could. He's actually being super frank with you, so I don't see a need for a check. He's being very honest with you. He, in all intent, for all purposes of this conversation, you can tell that he kind of expects you to say no in favor of taking the Shiba name, because he already kind of knew that that's what you were after, and when he sent you on this mission, he promised to send in a good word for you. He's basically being like, well, I can offer you this salary. Do you want to come work for me?
Right. He would say to him, Akodo Dono, that is a great honor and privilege that you would offer me, but I must most respectfully deny, for it was Shiba Kuzan who sent me here and gave me the chance to serve you as honorably as I done. And it is my duty to him to carry, hopefully, his name on further one day.
He kind of like openly smiles and he says, "You will make your father proud. I'll see to it that he receives my letters. I've already spoken well of your services in the past. Without doubt, you'll be a Shiba by the end of Winter Court."
And do I already know he's coming to Winter Court?
You have no idea.
So I would ask him, would it be possible that Shiba Kuzan would be attending this Winter Court? It has been a while since I've seen my father. I would like to tell him of the progress we've made here.
The guests are at the Emperor's request, but you'll be happy to hear your father is on the list, as is your mother. They'll both be in attendance to Winter Court this year.
That is great news. Although some of it obviously is not that great to him.
As my son is now a samurai, you are free of your duties as a Yojimbo. If you are available for it, I'm sure Winter Court could use another skilled swordsman. I'll speak with the Shiba clan and see if we can get you a position that is more appropriate for a man of your honor.
Thank you, Akodo Dono. It has meant a lot to serve your family. And although I turn down your name respectfully, I do feel in my heart that I am a part of your family. Hopefully that is not too casual of a thing to say.
He smiles and he looks to Akoma and he says, "I'm sure history will forgive you." In 1 month's time, please arrive on time. Ceremonial gear. If you wish to greet the Emperor's parade, you may wear your lacquered armor outside, representing your clan colors, but do not enter the castle with it. It is considered an affront and an assault to the Emperor. My cousin, the clan champion and emerald champion, will be here. Akodo Totori. To give you a heads up, each of the clans have been asked to participate in a series of games, and we'll be hosting them throughout winter. The Emperor has offered his favor to anyone who is able to take the championship of all the matches. I would encourage each of you to consider his gifts and remember to bring something appropriate, both for the Emperor and for the house that he chooses to occupy for winter. Which you clearly know is him being a little greedy. With that, you are all dismissed, and I thank you for your service. On the nature of Moto Hitomaro, he will be executed in the way of a peasant, beheaded and piked. You know that when the order goes out, execution usually follows within 7 days. If you guys want to do anything about that, now is the time to address it. If not, we will do a downtime of a month, which is enough time for you guys to accomplish a lot of stuff. If you want to like forge something, make a gift, that's enough time for most everything. You can't make plate armor for yourself in 1 month, but you could make a katana.
Oh, it's tough because I know what Hitomaro knows, and I know what it's like to live under your father's shadow, with him requiring you to do great things to be accepted again.
You know that he's a ronin and he fell to Shadowlands. This is the way that they get killed.
This is the way that, yeah.
In fact, normally, he probably would just be shot with arrows. The fact that they're executing him means that they're making him more of like a show a little bit.
So almost like a demonstration of force in like a small way. Like this will not be tolerated on Akodo lands. Yeah.
Yeah, which is purely due to the fact that he carries the Moto name.
Yeah. I think I would go, because nothing I could do or say would probably change the decision to have him executed. But I think I would go to speak with him at the very least. We can do this after the break or before, I don't care. But yeah. I would go to speak with him.
We'll go ahead and do the break. I already told you guys about what to do for gifts. Just as a reminder, if you want to take a couple minutes to kind of think about how you're going to present the gift, you can say whatever you want to bring to court. You're going to give a gift to the Emperor and then a gift to Akodo Dono as the host of Imperial Court. Basically, how this is going to work is you're going to tell me what you're gifting, and I go, oh, that kind of sounds like martial arts melee because you're giving him a sword. And then we roll on the chart. Remember, if it's something that is unique and or useless, those are more sentimentally appropriate gifts to give. Things that are utilitarian, like giving a Daimyo a sword as a gift, unless that sword has a history, it's kind of an insult, saying that you're basically saying that they are poor, so poor they cannot afford to buy their own swords. So keep that in mind while you guys are on break to think about that stuff, and then we'll do channel introductions and all that stuff. So 5-minute break. It's 10:30 now, so 10:35.
If we come up with an absolutely terrible idea, will you warn us before we do it? Like,
I will warn you that it's a bad idea, and you are entirely encouraged to give bad gifts as an insult if you want to.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Oh boy. Big trouble in Little Shiro Akodo.
I have a funny feeling things are going to be getting a little spicy soon.
I love it too. I was talking about how we're going to talk about some of these notes. Like I literally just have question marks on here because I was like, I don't know if anybody's going to accept these questions that Akodo Dono's asking. We'll just see how this works.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the trouble with some of those sorts of scenes is like you can only prep so far before you just hit the wall of player decision and you just have to wait and see what the heck everybody does.
Yeah, I mean most of my stuff here is mostly like kind of what his reactions are going to be to like you guys laying forth the notes or the events. And I had to listen very carefully to each of your reports to see what you guys specifically talked about and specifically didn't talk about so I could figure out what would be the best reaction for him.
So by the way,
Mm-hmm.
my ninja changed because I have been accepted back into my family.
Correct. And you have a Giri now, technically.
Yes.
Which we can discuss.
So my ninja now is to, and I don't like, and I'm not saying this like in a way that like I'm just saying like, oh, my family has lost this, but to restore my family's honor, like to essentially restore my family to like it's, like, because we're not broken or anything, but like to be the son, the heir, because like that's essentially what's happening now. And then my Giri is still yeah. Here, I'll send it to you in a private message what my Giri is now.
So your Giri is technically what your lord asks of you, which is your father. So if you send me something that I think sounds like something he will agree to, I'll be like, yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Oh, it's what my lord asks of me.
Yeah. Because that's your duty. Your ninja is your personal. Or sorry, I've got that backwards. Your ninja is your Giri. Or sorry, your ninja is your duty. Your Giri is your belief, personal belief. So bringing your family to righteousness again is probably your Giri. Your ninja will be I think he's going to task you with winning the Emperor's favor.
Oh, like, my word.
Like he wants you to compete. Like not necessarily win, but he wants you to compete. Like he definitely wants you to win kind of thing. But
yeah,
he wants
like every parent does, like they say like, oh, it doesn't matter if you win or lose in your game, but they want you to win. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like he wants you to compete to show that the lion are reunited. Like he wants you to be a physical presence and
be a figurehead.
Yeah.
Be a figurehead of the lion's strength, essentially.
Yeah. So I think that that's what his ninja or his ninja is going to be for you for now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I put that down there.
Am I doing those backwards? Because I always get these.
No, ninja says human desire. Giri says sworn duty.
Okay, so your Giri is to be a presence during Winter Court and to show that the lion are strong.
I am back, my friends.
Cool. So let's talk channels. We're like 3 episodes in. I feel like everybody should have already checked you guys out, but just in case somebody is randomly tuning in for the first time, what are you doing? Go back to episode 1 and then find out where these guys are coming from. Let's start with Chris.
Hey guys, I'm Chris. I am playing Itagawa no Akoda Oda. The large in stature yet quiet in persona, giant and protector to Akodo Takao. I come from the channel The RP Ginger, where I mostly am currently just actually kind of taking a little bit of a step back lately. I'm running Storm King's Thunder, pretty long running campaign, and that's about it for right now. Just kind of taking it easy in the new year, but I do look to do some more things in the future.
Storm King's Thunder is a really good written module.
Yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah.
It's sort of way off the pages now, but it's starting to get pretty good. So I'm happy with where it's going.
I really like the fact that they included that that tree mechanic where it's like, if you decide this is where you go next, kind of thing. Like, more modules need that.
Yeah, definitely, it's pretty cool.
All right, Ty, you're next.
All right, I'm Tyler from the channel On a Roll. That's ROLE, like roleplay. I feel like I have to point that out every single time for some reason. But I am playing. I'm playing Akodo Takao. Recently accepted son back into his father's good graces, whatever that actually means. I am loving playing in this. L5R is awesome. Chris does a great job. As for things you can find on my channel, I am running, starting Friday, another Providence mini campaign. Jeff's actually in it. I am looking forward to it again. Providence is my Wild West Native American mythology setting. Like, what if all Native American mythology was real and you put it in the Wild West? That's basically what the premise is. And it's a lot of fun. Both of the Chris's were in the last one I ran, and it was a blast. So if you like the Wild West, if you like crazy gunslinging, if you like mythological horror and supernatural occurrences, come check it out.
Excellent. And Jeff?
Yep, I'm Jeff. I have my own YouTube channel. It's called Encounterbalance, where I run my own games. And I have some stuff that I'm working on that I'm hoping to get up on the channel hopefully this week. We'll see. There's some other content that I've been working on. I also have another thing that I do called The Dudes of Yore. It's kind of like a podcasty now kind of live show that I do with Jeremy Lilly, who's a fantastic player and GM in his own right. We're actually recording our next live stream episode this Sunday, the 27th. So if that at all sounds interesting to you, give that a look out either live or after the fact. It'll be up on the Dudes of Yore YouTube channel.
And that's about actually establishing characters in world and like embracing the world for those characters, right?
Yeah, it's going to be about player investment. So like what you can do as a player to like make sure that you're fully into the game as best you can, both like in character, making sure that you're in the world, making sure that you're kind of in it as a player. I think that's kind of everyone always talks about what GMs can do to kind of get people into the game, but not many people talk about as a player what you can kind of do to push things as your own. We're going to try to touch into that a little bit. It'd be fun.
Yeah, and I definitely wanted to kind of point out the actual, like, what that episode's going to be about, because if you are playing Legend of the Five Rings, embracing the world and kind of digging your character in is super, super key to you really enjoying yourself inside the setting. There's a bunch of lore. Thankfully, Fantasy Flight has cleaned up a lot of it by saying we're back in the Clan Wars period instead of like weird post-colonistic Rokugan that was kind of happening before. So that's really good. But I'm sure those guys are going to have some really solid tips on what you can do to get yourself engaged in any setting, not just Rokugan or one of their particular settings, but really kind of find your feet. All right, so you guys have had a month of downtime. For the most part, I'm just going to say that you guys can gift whatever you want. You don't need rolls to craft those. We're just going to do rolls to basically show how the person receives the gift. But is there anything you guys want to accomplish during your month of downtime? You do have time to be able to do things like tend your armor, which will be, of course, sent over to the nearest armor smith to be cared for, repainted, and set up for ceremonial purposes. Your swords will, of course, be sent over to the sword sharpeners, which there is a small family of sea within Akodo Shiro that take care of the weapons that are inside the castle. And they will be especially excited to be able to sharpen the sea katana again.
So I had two questions about gifts.
Okay.
So the first one, you said that like it can be something sentimental, right? That
Yeah.
you give.
Usually the way gifts work in Rokugan is the more sentimental or the more history is behind an object, the more valuable of a gift it's considered. Like, for example, if you were to give a pair of chopsticks that your master inherited from his master, and you've got like a novel story to go with it, that's considered an excellent gift. Like one of the best gifts you could ever give, because there's some ancestry behind it. There are certain names that are tied behind it, and there's physical history that could be traced back to, like, when I look at the Imperial histories and I see your master's master, I can envision them sitting down to a meal and I have the chopsticks they used, that sort of thing. That's kind of how it works. Usually the more frivolous and the more sentimental a gift is, the better it's considered.
So if I gave my father the wakizashi that I got as a child that I carried with me the entire time I was a ronin, and that now I've shed, like becoming a lion again, that would be something.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
But also there's a little bit of like it might be considered, well, he'll know also a little bit of what it means, like him personally.
Depending on how your roll goes, depends on how he receives that gift. I'm not going to like telegraph how he receives the gift because I don't know how the rolls are going to go.
Okay, cool. So, and then, different, like, does the Imperial have a different, do the Imperial, like lines, they have a different, like, colors and stuff than the other families?
The Imperial families wear kind of a jade color, or they wear a slightly lighter color green. It's kind of confusing because the dragon wear a very similar color green, but they're slightly different shades.
So if I had a custom-made set of Akodo lion armor in green, made for the Emperor, like as like a sign of like Akodo support essentially to the throne, and then the lion will always be there. So
I will tell you that will be a poorly received gift because you're gifting something that is essentially with that gift, because it's utilitarian. It's kind of like you're saying that the Emperor can't afford his own armor, so you provide him a set.
So how would that, like, what would you do then? Like a lion mane helmet in their color?
You could do something like the pelt of a lion, which would be the same basic idea that you have, but it's not necessarily a utilitarian item.
Interesting.
You could do something like, which this idea would probably get to your father. You know, your father is big into paintings. You could literally go take one of the Sumi-e paintings that are in the castle that have been around for generations and gift that to the Emperor because it's your house now. You can do that. Your father will not be happy with it, but he will dare not say a word in court about it.
What about like a lion cub?
The Matsu would probably be the ones to give that sort of gift. It wouldn't be inappropriate. It would be a little out of character for the Akodo.
Okay, interesting. One of my father's paintings. Okay, I'll give it some more thought.
Okay.
Will I get to speak to my Shiba family before Winter Court and the gifts are done, or do they show up as Winter Court?
I think they're going to end up showing up pretty much right on time. I don't think there's going to be much time for you guys to be able to do any interactions with them until Winter Court starts, because I want pressure, basically.
Okay. It's interesting. Because I was thinking for my gift that I would give Akodo Dono my mempo, which is a mask that is like the phoenix colors and the lion kind of like symbology mixed into itself.
Since we're already talking about gifts, let's do some rolls and get those out of the way, and we'll keep going, because it doesn't sound like you guys want to necessarily do anything with your downtime action. The only person that might would be our resident spy.
I was going to say there was one thing that I wanted to double check with before we get too far, and that was how much, because we probably would talk in the meantime and I probably would get some sense. How much would Katashi have been told by Akodo Dono about what happened? As far as all the dark, magical, weird stuff
during the
and
month,
all that.
You find out that the story that Katashi understands it to be is that Moto was once a child taken in as political prisoner, that once Takao left, Moto ran away for some reason, that the child had always been deeply disturbed, and that it is no surprise that he had turned to the Shadowlands for support in his darkest time. That Akodo believes that the Moto had used Moto Hitomaro against the Akodo family to come close, and he believes that basically it's a unicorn plot to raise his child from the dead and then call him out during Winter Court. That's what that's what Akodo Dono thinks, or at least that's what he's told Takashi, or Katashi rather.
Okay, yeah. I'm trying to decide how much, if anything, of my hand I should tip to him beforehand, but I think that's probably a good understanding for him to have for now.
I don't know if we need to go into any detail about it, but I would obviously during that month probably have some contact with Tombo Cow and ask her. Well, first find out that she's going to Winter Court, and then ask her if we could maybe spend some time together, and I could learn about the techniques that she has with the Shigenja, and kind of just say that I've always been interested in that kind of stuff.
Yeah. She basically gives you the hard talk of, if you can't speak to Kami, you'll never speak to Kami. And then she realizes that you're asking about rituals, and she is like, okay, yeah, I can teach you that stuff.
Absolutely.
Basically, you can't teach a Bushi how to do incantations because they lack the ability to speak with the Kami.
Right. Yeah, he's more just doing it for like her company, but he's just like trying to totally be understanding. Like, oh yeah, that makes like rituals is definitely what I was talking about.
Yeah, and I think with time, like towards the end of the month, like it's becoming more clear, and you're understanding why you aren't able to do all of the things that she can do, but why you can do certain things that she can do. And the idea of rituals and what's involved in them definitely becomes a lot more clear to you.
Perfect.
So let's double back to
sorry, if you don't mind, one more quick question. How able or not able would someone be to send like a like how likely, if I were to send mail, would that mail to have been read before it gets to the intended person, if I would know?
So you have a network of spies at your disposal, so super reliable and super fast compared to the rest of Rokugan. Normally, it would take several months for your letter to arrive in most cases.
All right, because if it were possible and I knew for a fact that it was as safe as could be expected, I would want to at least send a letter to my Scorpion Lord, my actual Lord, of the things that I've discovered so far. Just so in the event that something weird happens and I'm not able to do anything with it, that at least that information is available for their uses, but that otherwise I'll be taking it into my own consideration.
Yeah, definitely. You are able to find out that not only is your master supposed to be in attendance to Winter Court as a honored artist, but your clan champion will also be in attendance. That's what your network kind of feeds back to you as you deliver your message, or as you send your message to be delivered.
Perfect.
Let's go back to the gifts. We'll start with Chris because you had some ideas. We'll kind of talk through these, and then we'll make rolls once we've decided on what the gift will be.
Yeah. So my first gift is for Akodo Dono to give my Mempo, because it is like the Phoenix and Lion kind of meshed into one. I'm wondering if that would be considered a thoughtful gift, as like this is in my favor too, because I've served you guys and brought the Phoenix and Lion Clan closer. But then second of all is he doesn't really want to walk around maskless. So that's why I was kind of wondering, when his Itagawa is the mask making family, so he would go talk to his mother. But in his regards, does he think that Shiba family will take him in, or is that something that's like would be a risk, and maybe he should just have another mask made that's not a Shiba mask?
I mean, it's kind of always a risk. You don't really know how trustworthy Akodo is, considering things that you guys have discovered. But Akodo seems to be fairly confident by the end of winter you should be accepted back to your family. If you want to take that how you will.
Yeah. Probably just make like something in between. I feel like that might be kind of weird to just show up with a mask. Like, hey, that's my mask now. I'm part of your family. And then for the Emperor, I'm imagining it would probably be pretty insulting to also have a Mempo made for him. Or
not necessarily. Mempos are kind of unique. While they are a utilitarian item, they are very special to the person. Like an Itagawa Mempo, because they are the family that generally makes a lot of Mempos, that could be something that is sentimental.
and I'd like to maybe imply my Nasu family heritage, which I believe had something to do with the Emperor.
Yeah, you have imperial heritage, basically. You've come from a long line of, well, kind of like an adjacent line of the Nasu family that serve the emperor.
Right, and maybe on the mask have like a kind of like life tree or something that would be suitable to the culture, with the names inscribed, how my family connects to his family or something like that, or how the Nasu family is connected to our family, just like inscribed onto the mask, almost like a family tree of some sort, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So the mask you have inside your picture kind of looks more like an Oni-styled membo.
Mm-hmm.
What might be more appropriate for something like this kind of gift is a membo that's styled after like Kami, where it's a little bit more soft featured. It looks more angelic than demonic.
Yeah. This mask isn't necessarily what I was like picturing it as anyways. It's the only like cool thing I could find, but
Right, but it provides a good talking point, so
yeah. But yeah, I'd like to give the mask I'm currently wearing to Akodo Dono, and then maybe a special, like, fancier, more Kami Nasu based one to the Emperor.
So I think for yours, it's probably going to be either culture or sentiment for both of those, since it's both membos. The other option you could go with, if you wanted it to be more artistic, or at least in how it's received, would be something like aesthetics or design.
Well,
Design would make more sense.
I do have some sentiment, so I think that'd probably be the best to use.
Okay.
And a ring. Do I have to do one for each, or is it kind of all?
Let's do one roll for both, and depending on how the roll goes, I'll tell you if both were successful or both failed, just to make things efficient.
Okay.
Your TN will be a 2.
So I think I'll go sentiment, recall, and recall the kind of family heritage and connection between the Nasu family and the Imperial line, and somehow think of a sentimental value or some way I can artistically have that inscribed on a mask, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So then let's roll. And I'm looking at 2 successes with 2 strife and an opportunity. How many? 2 successes?
You needed 2 successes.
Yep. So I'll do that. 2 successes, 2 strife, and an opportunity.
Okay. So with that, your gifts go out to each person, and in the traditional Rokugani fashion, we'll narrate the first gift, and then we'll just kind of say all the gifts get received or don't get received and how that happens. Your first gift will go to, actually we'll narrate your second gift, the one to the Emperor. Your first gift will go to Akodo Dono, who will refuse the gift twice and then receive it, which is the appropriate way to receive a gift. The second gift goes to the Emperor, and when you present a gift to the Emperor, it's very strange. Whereas presenting a gift to a daimyo, you could be as close as like 10 feet away from the daimyo. When you present the gift to them, you're usually physically handing it to them. The Emperor is a very foreign and different experience. The clan champion receives your gift, who then presents it to the Emperor while you stand about 50 feet back from the Emperor behind several Imperial Guard ranks. And then you just kind of wait for the Emperor to give his response, which gets conveyed by messengers back to you. And then you say your response, and then it gets conveyed back to the Emperor. So I think when the Emperor gets the mask, the message that you get back is, Itagawa-san, this mask is too great of a treasure. While I can tell it's from its craftsmanship that it is new, I can see traces of your lineage across 3 separate families, shown in such care and beauty. I cannot accept this gift.
Oh boy. And then I obviously say like why he should accept it.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
basically, you kind of like forgive him and go, no, it's really for you. Who else would have it? Or you basically explain why the gift is perfect for him.
Yeah, so I would say that the Itagawa family has taken pride in making mempos, and the utmost care was put into making this mask for the great emperor. But the lineage that you see is a symbol of the what's the word I'm looking for here? Relationship and bond that our families share even back in the ancient times. And it would be my honor if you would take it, and I'll spend my opportunity to carefully minimize any consequences or failures that could provide.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you are playing a game of telephone right now, so I think with that message or that opportunity being spent, your message is conferred correctly. Like there's no missed marks. They reply it the way it should be. A message comes back to you, and the Emperor has responded. Itagawa-san, this mask belongs to a warrior or a poet, not a man who rarely wears them. It would only collect dust in my library, or sorry, in my my art gallery. I am afraid that I would not do honor to such a great gift. I cannot accept.
Itagawa's probably sweating at this point and thinking to himself, gee, this is a really strange tradition that we've been honoring for so many centuries. I wish he would just accept it. But then replies that, oh God.
This is why I only RP this out once, because if you have 2 gifts each with several players, it gets a little crazy.
He says that even collecting dust in the library of an emperor would bring great honor to his family, and personally his mother, who I'm completely blanking out on the name of, Yumi Itagawa. It would bring his mother great honor to know that a mask that their family has created serves as decor in the great emperor's library. I must implore you, please take this as a gift and honor us with it on your wall.
A few moments later, you hear the Emerald Champion. Well, really, you see him first. He raises up this because his armor is kind of it's a lacquered armor that's painted in emerald color. He raises up a hand and he shouts out very clearly, Itagawa-san, the Emperor has chosen to accept this fine gift. Know that it will decorate his art gallery for many generations to come. And then he kind of gives like a rhetoric that is basically may the Hanate Emperor line live forever kind of thing. I'm not going to RP every gift that's given out unless you guys specifically want to RP one. If you have a gift that is an insulting gift, we should probably RP that one. So let's go over to Ty. Do you have an idea of what you want to do for both your gifts now?
So the wakizashi isn't insulting. I do want to see my father's reaction to it, though.
Okay.
But the for the Emperor, so I've got 2 ideas now that I've been thinking. The first one, I was wondering if, like, having the Sea, who live in the city, make a replica of Lion's Fang and Lion's Paw, and basically giving them back, saying that, like, the Akodo line recognizes this gift that you've given us, and we will forever be like faithful, like honor you.
Yeah, that would work.
Gifts, right?
Yeah, that would work. It's utilitarian, but it's symbolic of a sentimental thing. So that,
yeah, I'm essentially saying, like, look, I carry my honor with me and the honor of the Empire because I carry these blades.
yeah, and I think it works especially because you went to Seasmiths to have basically a sister sword made.
Yeah, okay. So that's what I'd give to the Emperor.
Okay, yeah. Your TN is going to be a 2 as well for both your gifts there.
And for so what am I rolling for this one? Is it a sentiment gift again?
So you're giving your father a wakizashi and the Emperor a replica set. Really,
replica daisho
sword set. I think you could use martial arts melee.
I'm very good at martial arts melee.
Sentiment is always an option when it comes to gift giving.
Okay.
Culture is always an option when it comes to gift giving. And smithing could also work in this.
So for the Emperor, I think I'm going to go with melee.
Well, it's
Martial arts
roll for both. You just pick one. We're doing it that way for convenience sake.
Oh, the roll for, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very good at martial arts melee. Like, very, very good.
Okay, cool. So mostly when you give your descriptions with martial arts melee in mind, you're probably going to lean your conversations towards like the story of a battle, of why this is significant, or what makes this sword important to your family for like battle after battle, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I got 4 successes, 1 strife, and 1 opportunity.
Okay. So keep in mind, you guys don't have to keep all those dice. You can keep a minimum of 1, or you could just keep enough to make your target number. Does that change your number at all?
On martial arts melee, I get to roll 6 dice and keep 3.
Okay.
Like I've got 3 skill dice in martial arts melee because I use a bunch of my experience to get that up.
Okay, cool. So yeah, your gifts go over really well. There are some whisperings amongst the crowd as you give your gift to the Emperor. The Emperor, of course, follows procedure and accepts the gift. Actually, he breaks procedure, which no one mentions because he's the Emperor. He rejects it twice and then, he rejects it once and then accepts it. Which normally, if someone does that, that's a sign that they are being a little greedy. It would be considered disrespectful, but no one's ever going to question the Emperor on it. You can take that also as an option of like, the Emperor appreciates the gift so much that he does not want to risk losing it, so he's accepted it early.
Okay. Well, I mean, that kind of goes into my theory of winning the Emperor's favors, then, in my opinion. So I would kind of like graciously, like, you know, like when it comes back, I'd say like, no, this deserves to be in the Emperor's house, you know, all that stuff. But what I'm really interested in is saying what my father, how he reacts to Wakizashi.
Yeah, let's do that. Present the gift, and then I'll give you responses.
Yeah, so I would approach, I'd approach him, and I would have this Wakizashi, it's still in the old battered case, the one that he gave me. Like, this is like, and in a way, I feel like this is me giving him back the one thing he's ever given me. So I approach him, and I have this Wakizashi held in my hands, kind of, sheathed and held between 2 hands. And I say, can I refer to him as father now, or would it still be Akodo Dono?
It would be okay for you to call him father. Dono would be more appropriate.
Okay. I'll go with appropriate then, especially because it feels like a small slight, removing the familial bond. I say, Akodo Dono, over the course of my life, this is the Wakizashi that has shown me the path of the samurai and how I should live Bushido. It has been with me from the beginning of my training, when I first received it during, what's that called, the age of...
the Genpuku ceremony?
No, because I never went through the Genpuku ceremony.
Yes. I was going to say, you didn't have that because you went Ronin first.
There's like an age that, like, they have a special name for like the age when kids reach, when they first receive their Wakizashi and begin their samurai training.
I forget the name of that one because it doesn't come up terribly often. But you use the appropriate term.
Yeah, but I used the appropriate term. I said when I came to the age of blank, that I received this and has been by my side forever and ever since. And I would kind of like turn the sword over and show that the scabbard is cracked and broken, and I would explain how this happened. It saved my life when I was attacked, kind of on the road, and how if it had not been there, an arrow would have taken me. And I would kind of like show him the blade and how it's still beautiful and it's still polished and shining. And I would explain how I carry my blade as I carry my spirit, and I protected it with honor. And then I would sheath it again and explain that now that I have, shed the title of Ronin, and that I carry my grandfather's swords with me, that I would like to give this to him as a reminder of me losing and regaining my honor for the family.
Okay. Yeah, he picks up what you're putting down. You can definitely tell He recognizes the choice of words that you.
I'm not saying it in any way that any of like the servants would think anything, but like that he knows.
Yeah. He looks at it and he says, "This was a gift from father to son. I am proud to see that you have taken such care of it, just as any father would. But there is no need to return this. It was always meant for you."
And as it was always meant for me, I wish to give it back to you now as a sign of my loyalty and my duty and my honor to the family, as a sign of my willingness to serve openly and to serve faithfully.
You can feel his analytical gaze upon you again. You know that he's trying to discern something about your person at the moment. And then he speaks up and he says, "I would gladly repair the saya to this wakizashi and allow you to carry it on your hip with the other. This is a sign of father's love for his children. I am thankful that the ancestors saw fit to protect you in your time of need. But decorating my wall, it will cease to have the spirit that you've protected so fiercely."
But decorating your wall would also show it, you and the others who come here, that the lions are honorable, and that we will always regain that honor no matter the price. That duty always comes first, and that we, as lions, will always serve the greater good. This shows more spirit on your wall unrepaired, as it shows a broken spirit made whole.
There's this moment of clarity where you suddenly realize what he's been doing this whole time. He's been trying to feel you out. I think he's going to get your personal desire out of this one. I gave him a scheme action and he was working towards it the whole time.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to become kind of aware of where you stand right now. And you're going to see this moment inside his brain where it's like he saw the enemy turn the tide in a war in front of him that he thought was so carefully calculated. And now he's trying to figure out what his next step will be. He kind of absently accepts the gift and he says, "Of course, I will have the sword adorn the walls of the hall so that all who visit will see it in its glory. And I will have much to tell them of my son." And he kind of looks at you differently. Like you're playing a game he never intended to give you the rules for.
And I would nod to him respectfully as he takes the wakizashi, and I would say I am proud to be an Akodo. And everything that implies. Seeing as honor is our Bushido mantra.
Yeah, and there's like this awkward moment where just like a heartbeat passes inside the court, and then you can hear I think Shoshiro Kuzan behind you. I was trying to remember because there's two Kuzans now. Shoshiro Kuzan behind you, and he kind of like clears his throat. He's carefully waiting with this finely crafted wooden box that's actually whatever wood it is, it smells very strong. We as players would recognize this to be cedar. As characters, this is a wood that is not found in the Emerald Empire.
So wait, so basically, did I speak out of turn? Is that what happened?
Yeah, you left the last word, and Akodo didn't say anything afterward.
Oh, okay. So it's not that I said something; it's that he didn't respond.
Yeah, he didn't respond. He chose to kind of let it hang for a minute, and then Shoshiro Kuzan kind of broke the ice a little bit to save everyone face for the moment that just kind of hung there.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, okay.
Kuzan is kind of a strange man to look at. He's very much a performer all the time. He wears it's a wig of hair that's in this crimson red that is matched by his costume, but it's very long, kind of spiked out hair. It's very comical. It's like the kabuki wig that you see on actors. He wears a full face of makeup the whole time. He is a darling of the court as he kind of begins to explain the story of this box and why it's so unique and why it's so important. And then at the end, he kind of turns it on its head and he says, and there's a secret. And you know your father. He's very curious and he's kind of obsessive about things like this. You can see him chomping at the bit to receive this gift, but he's playing the game. He's not accepting it too early. He's not accepting it too late. He's waiting and biding his time. His responses are super short. They're like, oh no, I couldn't accept this. It's far too beautiful. And then he's just eagerly waiting to be convinced to take the gift from him. Being a Scorpion, you guys can draw your own conclusions to what Shoshiro, the actor, is doing with this box, but he definitely knows your father's buttons. Jeff, you will have a TN2 as well. And once we find out what your gifts are, we'll figure out what you can roll.
Yeah, I think I have a pretty good idea so far. Basically what I would like to do, especially for the Akodo Dono, is I'd like to take the manuscript notes that I took of his son's re-entry into the family, this bestowing of honor and continuing of the family line, and copy it over onto like very ceremonial and as like grander paper, and basically present it as like a frame, like almost like you would present like a picture frame to somebody of a historical moment in their life.
So I have a question for you, because this is a really unique opportunity for you to gain the blackmail disadvantage. Are you giving him the actual report, or are you about to blackmail him? Because this is important as the GM to know. You're a Scorpion, so I have to ask these questions.
Yeah. I think for now, because I'm very much have a plan for what I'm trying to do here. So I think for now it is genuine.
Okay.
Like an actual aggrandized retelling of this moment as like an actual proud moment for the lion. Because I want him to continue to be on my side until the actual court starts. And that I can have his trust going into that.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent. Okay. What's
probably? I'm sorry.
What's the gift for the Emperor?
That one I'm having a little bit more trouble with. I mean, I'm planning on using composition for these. So I probably something along similar lines. Like if there was a historic, like a story that the Emperor is famous for, then maybe copying something like that as like a.
The Akoma historians, another name that they have had in the past is Akoma bards. They are also storied for their ability to use poetry and songwriting. Being a Soshiro performer in disguise, you could kind of lean on that, and perhaps you're composing like a haiku, or perhaps you're composing like a small song that goes over something that is of sentimental value to you. Like that would be a really great 5-star gift in Rokugan. It's just a sheet of paper with a song you composed about something you cared about.
Yeah, I think it might even be like as simple as like a song that he wrote about like getting the honor to be able to be a part of the Emperor's court. like how much it means that he'll be able to be the one that documents
Yeah, that's
such
good.
a great figure coming to his own home, to be able to be a part of that.
Okay. So yeah,
and I did
composure definitely works, or not composure, composition.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. And I'm using air ring, especially to refine like the written historical documents into
Mhm.
something nicer, more presentable as an actual gift rather than just as records.
I gotta hear this
and
haiku
I
to
have-
actually know if it's any good. Like, you gotta do a haiku for us right now, Jeff.
Oh God.
I was gonna say, if you freestyle a haiku as Chad is calling for, I'm willing to give you an extra kept dice.
I have no confidence in my ability to create a haiku on the spot.
Oh man, it's so hard, especially in the fact that once it's translated to Japanese, we probably fucked it up entirely.
Yeah, exactly. But I did already roll. I'm assuming I have a TN2 as well.
Yeah, TN2.
All right, so I'm just gonna keep 2 successes and 1 strife. I'll drop the 3rd success to save myself the other strife.
Okay. Cool. So they're received. Is there anything in particular that you want to highlight inside here, or do you want to just kind of have them received?
I don't think that there's anything necessarily of hyper import to go over, like with a fine-tooth comb on it. I think it's mostly just a matter of building that trust, which I don't know if we need to play that out or not. But
no, I think he's not counting you as a threat at this point. You're just kind of keeping the momentum that you've built up by the first meeting going. The Emperor whispers a few words to the Emerald Champion, and then the Emerald Champion he raises up his hand again to silence everybody in the crowd, because you were one of the last gifts to be given. The Emperor, His Majesty Hanate the 38th, has decided that this winter court we shall conduct games. There'll be several events hosted by each clan. Points will be awarded according to requirements. Each clan will send forward a judge, and the person who acquires the most points will receive the Emperor's favor. You may ask for anything of the Emperor, so long as it does not harm him or the Empire. He will see that you are rewarded. This is a game to foster peace and understanding between the clans, to perhaps put aside old grudges and find a new place of common understanding. And you can see his eyes scanning across, and there is basically there's 30 people from each clan here. And there is a section of unicorn that he almost lingers on just a little too long. And then he begins again. If the judge appreciates the style that you enter a competition with, the techniques used, you'll receive 1 point for judge's appreciation. If you show that you are skilled, whether you win or lose, you will receive 1 point. The winner of each round will receive 1 point. There is a possibility of 3 points to be earned by each individual who plays in the games. The games will be as follows. Hosted by the Lion will be Shoji. I am proud to announce that the Akodo family will be looking for a new Sogo Meijin, or Sojo champion, or Soji champion. Hopefully we can find one of as great of skill as Akodo Shara. And as he says that, Akodo Shara kind of bows her head. She's a beautiful woman that looks like she is probably at least somewhat related to the Dragon Clan. She wears very fine, high fashion kimono. And you can tell that she's probably a scholar, maybe a Shugenja from the looks of her. She's about in her 40s. Well, she is 40 because she's being retired as the Sogo Meijin. The Sorry, I need to flip over my thing so I see my judges. The Crane will be hosting Kamari. The Scorpion, Sadane. And hopefully not winning. And you can hear kind of the crowd laugh. Akodo Totori seems to be really good at working the crowd and inspiring like a level of confidence inside the people he talks to. The Unicorn will judge horsemanship. The Dragon have provided a riddle that I'm sure will stump more than one of us. The Crab will be hosting, and he kind of pauses here for a moment. A challenge to the fortunes. It doesn't take a scholar or anyone of particular skill to understand that this was the nicest way that the Emerald Champion could phrase a betting match, which would be considered dishonorable for Samurai to participate in. But the Crab are hosting it regardless of what anybody else says. The Phoenix, a hunting event, and the Imperial family will host a duel. The Imperial family will also be hosting a duel for the Shugenja as well, so that all people in attendance of the games will be earn a chance to gain points. Thank you for attending Winter Court. It is now in session. And the Emperor kind of stands up. He's got this long flowing jade kimono that he's wearing and this very tall hat that marks his station, kind of narrow with little beads across it. And the Emperor exits and the crowd slowly gets dispersed. The castle is in kind of this unique state as the snow starts to fall, where the guards have shifted more from lion guards to imperial guards. There's a lot of Sephun imperial guards that are in the place. The banners have changed. The demeanor of the castle has changed. And I think the first event, at least, we can actually go ahead and do, given that we are going to go for about 30 more minutes. We should have time for at least one event. So let me make sure I'm on the right page because I accidentally closed my book as I was talking. It's going to be Shogi. Shogi is a tactical game. It's kind of similar in some ways to chess. Go is a very similar game that is a little bit more recognizable. Shogi is a little bit different in the board style. Go is basically you have a bunch of provinces and you're trying to capture the provinces, kind of like you would in a war. Shogi is a little bit more of a tactical-based game. It was invented by the Akodo family, and you know that the Seiko Meijin is the Shogi champion for all of Rokugan. Once you receive that title, you get honor with it, and you get to be called Seiko Meijin until you are 40 and you get retired from that title. In which case, once that happens, they hold a tournament to see who will be your replacement. The fun part about this is not everyone in the world is invited. Literally, it's just whoever the Akodo decide to invite, which happens to be the Winter Court here. There are several people that have decided to participate. I've given all of you their names inside the Facebook group, so I'm just going to rattle them off here. Shiba Lin Zhao, which is Oda's mother, well, adopted mother. She will be participating. Shiba Kuzan will be participating, which is Oda's father. Bayushi Shoju, the Scorpion Clan champion, will be participating. Shoshiro Kazan will be participating. Shinjo Saranai, which is the Unicorn Clan champion. Moto Kaiketsu, which is the Moto family daimyo. Yokozuna Hazo, who is a ronin, who is actually a Yokozuna that will be performing in this year's sumo match. Tombo Kao, Akodo Hikaru, Moto Nihide, Akodo Katashi, Doji Megumi, Takashi Junji, Haruma Tokumine, Miya Kaide. and if you guys would like to participate, you guys can as well.
I super need to be in this.
So would it be tactic based? Like, is that the skill you'd use for this?
For
Games,
this
I'm
one,
guessing.
games is going to be the skill that's going to be used.
Oh no, I thought it was going to be tactics.
Because my
It is more tactical, but it is a game still.
tactics is much better than my game. Sure, I'll participate.
The sad part is when I was looking at the skill list, literally everything that Winter Court is would be check. So I was like, nope, I'm mixing this up. Some of these do not use games. Well, most of them don't use games, I should say. There's only 2 that do.
So
Yeah,
let me ask this real quick. If we participate and do poorly, is that particularly like
So the way it's going to
bad
work,
representative to us?
so the way it's going to work is if you participate and you use the element that the judge prefers, you'll get 1 point. Even if you don't succeed, you'll get 1 point. If you pass the TN2 check, because all of them are TN2, you'll get 1 point. No matter what element you use. If you get the most successes and you are the front runner, you'll get 1 point for that. So if you are the front runner but you don't use the element that the judge likes, you'll only get 2 points. 1 for succeeding, 1 for being the front runner. If you use the element the judge likes and you pass, that's 2 points as well. Not everyone's participating in every event. It's just this is kind of prestigious and opens a lot of doors for you. So literally everybody who's in Winter Court is trying to run.
Yeah, sure, I'll try. Why not?
My bio family and Tombo's in it, so I feel like I gotta get in this.
What did you place up against Tombo? You have to beat her down.
Without even trying, because Tombo is friendly with you, she reveals that her mother was the previous Sokomasian.
Oh, she's gonna be very good at this game, probably.
Well,
Yeah.
she is not playing the game. She's actually assisting with the judging. Akodo Katashi actually will be judging.
Perfect. This is my chance to impress her with my
Of course,
amazing skills.
Okay.
So
So
there-
what we gotta do?
Real quick, there's something else. I don't know if now's an appropriate time, like mechanically speaking, for us to be able to use like scheme actions, or is that like specifically only in like a set intrigue?
No, basically all of Winter Court I'm treating as an intrigue scene. Like scenes will change, but it's all considered an intrigue. So anytime you want to start a scheme, you absolutely can. And making a role in a competition as part of your scheme can definitely work.
I have a separate scheme that I would like to do. Basically, now that everybody is gathered here and the important people are here, I would like to use my Court of Whispers ability, which basically says, as a scheme action, I can make a courtesy air check targeting everybody, the TN being the lowest vigilance among the people here. And if I succeed, a rumor is created that sweeps across the room like a storm. Everyone in the scene hears it. And bonus successes above vigilance even give it some credence.
The lowest vigilance? Okay, you got a TN1 ahead of you?
Okay, that's good for me. I would like to start a rumor that just so happens to be mostly true. That the new Akodo son was only brought about out of desperation, and that the lion Akodo Dono, who has brought him back, does not actually want him or trust him, and that family tensions are very high right now.
All right. I can feel Tyler's soul melting right now.
And that I have already rolled, and sorry in advance, Tyler. That's 5 successes and an opportunity, which I'm going to use to make it so that the rumor is not able to be traced back to me.
Okay. So the tile pieces are clicking on the shoji tables as everyone begins participating in the tournament. If you guys would like to play, it is a TN2 games. Akodo Katashi, from speaking with him, he seems to favor a more direct approach. Basically, he takes a few moments before the competition starts and he says, "This game is about strategy. You must be direct. Do not expect that your opponent will back down either. Keep on pressure like you would as if your army's life depended upon it."
Could I do something similar to like Jeff with spreading a rumor, or only do like another one of the intrigue-based options?
You
Like,
can absolutely do one of the schemes. Jeff's thing was a technique, so it works a little differently.
Oh, like could I discern someone's qualities, or is that something that I don't do?
Absolutely spread a rumor, but it will take a few turns to happen instead of the one turn thing that Jeff just did.
Right. What about discern someone's qualities?
You absolutely can do that as well.
Yeah, I'd be looking to see. Actually, would I know ahead of time other things that Tombo would be participating in, or do I get the sense that this is kind of like her?
No, it's one of those things that they're going to announce the event, who the judge is, and then the judge will basically give their spiel at the beginning, and then you decide if you want to participate or not.
I'll discern my father's qualities, I think. Does that make sense?
Okay. What are you looking to get from him? You can ferret out their strengths, weaknesses, loyalties, their Giri, Ninja.
I guess that doesn't really work with what I was thinking then. I was like how he feels towards me currently, and if he like
we could absolutely do that.
Yeah, that's what I'd be looking to do then.
I would consider that more of you could either appeal to him and try and get him to look at you more favorably, or we could say it's a unique action where you're feeling him out first.
Let's get him to sorry, I just completely blanked out on how you worded the first one.
So you could appeal to him.
Yeah,
would be try to bring him to your side, basically.
Yeah, basically just say that like the mission that I was sent on has went really well, and Akodo-san is now no longer a ronin, and just basically talk about how he used to like play this game, and I remember his teachings, and maybe just kind of feel him out and see how he's feeling.
Yeah, and I think through sheer luck of placements of seats, they've gone very specific to like mix up who's facing who at the tables. Just by sheer luck, he happens to be like back to back with you. He's playing at a different table.
Perfect.
But it gives you the chance to have that conversation and passing as the game plays. So what approach are you using?
Do I have to use a skill too, or do I just choose a...
You'll use fire games or earth games, but even though you have 0 ranks in games, you would just basically roll keep what your ring is.
Oh boy. Even though it's not, I guess I could try to charm him. Water.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Just like talk about how well it's been going, and let's do that.
Okay.
And
so the number of victory points you need to be able to accomplish this appealing to him, what is the outcome that you're shooting for? Are you looking to get him to look upon you favorably, or are you looking for him to like full-blown accept you? Because that's going to determine how many victory points you need.
Look upon me favorably. Like I'm basically priming him. I don't imagine we're having to talk in the middle of this game to like accept me. So like this is just primer.
So... Well, the reason I ask is what's your end game is because basically it's like a skill challenge. If you say my end game is for my father to accept me,
just look at me more favorably right now for sure.
Yeah, I would say that like this conversation is probably only going to get you 1 or 2 points towards the ultimate goal of your father accepting you, which would be like a 9-point challenge. It's going to take most of Winter Court to get this done.
Okay, I'm good with that. I'm gonna. Do I know my TN?
Yeah, it's TN2.
All right, then I'll just take my 2 exploding successes with 2 strife and walk away happy, because that was a pretty risky roll for me.
Yeah, and because you took the water approach, there's this back and forth with your opponent. You sacrifice a couple of critical pawns, and suddenly at the last few moments, you snatch up victory from Haruma Tokumune, the crab, who has decided that he is going to participate in a game that he probably should not have. He's been super aggressive the whole match. He just pushes pieces forward without thought or care. it kind of feels like he's probably maybe not played this game in 10 years.
Yeah, and I imagine like I'm also not that great either. So it was like a battle of the two probably worst players at the table, and I just come out on top, and I'm completely surprised about it, and maybe like even like kind of stand up in like celebration, look across to see if Tombo is paying attention.
Yeah. So let me write you down. So I got to track you guys separate since I've got everybody else done. All right.
I'll post my role in the chat because I'm actually just going to play the game.
All right.
Because my goal is to gain the Emperor's favor.
Itagawa, go ahead and track your points for me instead. I'm going to have you each track your points, so grab it.
So just how many successes?
Next. It's 1 point.
Okay, 1 point.
Uh-huh. How many successes did you have on the skill roll, though? Because that determines how close we are on the end goal of your father accepting you.
2 successes on the roll.
Okay.
1 point for the game.
All right. So you have 2 successes towards that total 9 that you need for your father to like fully come around for you.
Yep.
All right, cool. So for Ty, you did fire, had a bunch of successes, and some strife. So
I'm using the 2 opportunity to do this because I can. There's one for the fire approach where I can do it in a flashy way that draws attention.
Yeah.
I'm going to use both of them to do it in a flashy way that draws attention. So I'm getting extra attention for how I'm playing this game out.
Okay. So that was 2, but you might get a point extra because you rolled a bunch of successes. All right. So who you end up beating is Bayushi Shoju, who employs several different Tesujis, which are tactics. This would be stuff like playing a gambit in chess. He's very formal in what he's doing, and you can see that he's adapting his strategy, but he's not adapting it fast enough for you. And you find yourself coming out on top on a man that no one expected you to be able to beat. Bayushi Shoju is kind of a brilliant mastermind of the courts. So to see him so soundly defeated by you surprised everyone.
I think Akodo is surprised. I mean, Takao is surprised because I don't have any skills in games. Like, I'm just literally playing the game. So, like, I think he would kind of sit back after the game, like, a look of surprise that, like, the tactic I was employing worked. And I would think back on actually all the times that I played, shogi with Doji Ayako, that other kind of ronin, who we kind of met up and, like, spent a long time on the road together. And that's where I feel like most of my skill came from, is playing with her so frequently. So yeah, he's very surprised, but he's humble in victory. Okay. I think going so far as to tell him that he probably didn't have any right to beat him. If that's not informal or rude.
No, actually, the idea of a humble winner is actually super appreciated by the culture. Usually when you win, you kind of make up an excuse as to why you won. Like, oh, you must have been hungry because there's no way I would have normally beat you, or something like that. Like, that's a pretty common thing.
Yeah, so I would give him, I would do that, but like, I'm not thinking anything of it. Like, I think it's just literally what my character would have done. Like, not like out of any like specific, like, to save face for him, but kind of just like, I don't think I should have won.
All right, Jeff, and for you, you used fire approach, so that's that. The results are in, and for Akoma's match, it's pretty non-eventful. You find yourself pitted against Yokozuna Hazu. Hazu seems to be taking a void approach, which is kind of surprising. As a sumo, you would think that he would be a little bit more fiery, is kind of the best way to put it. He seems to be just very calm about the whole thing. He's moving the pieces without really thinking about where they should go. It's almost like he's moving with instinct. And then there's a moment where he stops and he kind of recognizes you for your skill, and he forfeits the match. The judges seem to recognize his self-awareness and award him a point for skill anyways. But it's kind of an odd match compared to the rest of them.
And there is, real quick, as a side thing, I got 2 opportunities there, which I would like to use as one of the fire opportunity things for the 2 opportunity is notice something missing or out of place in the vicinity not related to the task at hand, which I guess it would be the game.
Okay.
But imagine like as things are going on and it's become like very obvious that I'm going to win the game and that it's just a matter of like playing out the last couple turns before he forfeits, that my eyes and ears start to wander a little bit and maybe I take notice of something.
Yeah. As far as something that is, it's something missing or out of place, is what it says.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's probably Akodo Katashi himself. Normally, a judge walks the room and carefully looks at the different tables and would analyze styles and things like that. He's staying a bit further back. He's attempting to kind of chat up the current Sokomeijin, which is Akodo. I wrote her name down. Maybe I wrote her name down. Akodo Shara. There we go. There's a lot of NPCs in here. Akodo Shara, who is paying very close attention to the different tables. But he seems to be absent. Knowing the man, you assume that he's probably trying to socially move up by knowing the right people.
Makes sense.
All right. And the judges come back and they confer, and Akodo Katashi looks around the room and he says, the points have been tallied. We have a clear winner. Such immense skill, it is quite surprising. Akodo Takao, we are proud to announce you as the next Sokomeijin. Akodo Takao, please take 10 glory. So there isn't a title made for Sokomeijin. We have discussed before this game that we are not doing titles simply because we're halfway through this campaign and it would kind of throw off how XP expenditure would go. In a normal campaign, I'd probably make this a title and give you some cool like game related stuff so that you could be better at doing shogi in other games.
It's all right, man. Next mini campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just port my character. It's all good.
Yeah.
Takao is surprised, by the way. He's like utterly blown away. Like he entered this just because, number one, out of duty, because his father asked him to. And number two, just because he enjoys the game after having played it so much. And so like being the Sokomeijin is like blowing his mind. Like he does not understand like how this happened. It's like you said, he had no right winning.
And I think that the evening is filled with people talking to you about the game that you had played against Bayushi Shoju, which was kind of the defining moment where they understood you to be the victor. And Akodo Shara comes up to you and begins speaking with you, and she's using a ton of technical terms. Like she's played this game professionally for like a lifetime, it seems.
It's like when you're talking to like a chess master and they're like, "Oh, I love the way that you did that
Yeah, she's talking to you about your Tetsuji, which is your tactics, and then she talks about your Sabaki, which is considered good chip or good token placement on the board. And then she talks about like a certain gambit that you employed, and you're like, I didn't know I employed that gambit.
Exactly.
But like you kind of get a feel more for the technical aspects of the game from this conversation with her. And she gives you a certain level of respect that that you would appear. You know that this title, Sokomeijin, is basically a key to go to any game-related event in the Empire. You would always be considered an honored guest wherever you went, and people would gladly allow you to basically play Soji with any person you want, and it would be considered like an honor for them to host you, kind of thing. Instant popularity and Twitch streamer status or partnership status, basically.
Yeah, I'm starting to get those royalties now. Yeah,
yep.
That's nice.
I think we have enough time. We should have enough time to do the second event, and then we'll kind of wrap up and we'll do the rest of the events. I'm basically crunching together the time, but if in between events you guys want to do things, please let me know. But I think the second event, which is Kamari, will start pretty much right away. Kamari, just so you guys are aware, is kind of like a game of hacky sack with a slightly bigger ball. And it is a favorite pastime of Winter Court. The Crane love it more than most sports. It's typical that you show up in your nice dressed, like ceremonial dress, and when you play this game, let's see here. Yeah, you can definitely do a scheme action in between because there's like a social hour between the two events.
Okay, yeah. Either that or maybe after this event. Okay. Just to give it a little bit more time.
Okay, well then let's do Kamari first, and then we'll go into it. Kamari will be a 10 to fitness check. You'll learn that Asahina Tomaki will be the judge. And she says, the game of Kamari is a game of ebb and flow. You must understand both where you are moving and where your opponents are moving. Most cases, your opponents are your greatest allies, but do not trust them fully. She is very clearly asking for a water approach.
I'm actually going to sit this game out.
Okay.
Akoma will not play this game.
Is there a roster that accompanies this game too, or?
If you would like, I can tell you who's going to skip it because that might be more efficient.
Yeah.
Shoshiro Kuzan will skip it.
Okay, he's the only one. Everyone else is in.
Everybody else is in.
All right, I'm in.
This is like a fun traditional Winter Court type game.
Yep, I'm in.
Okay.
If I can, perhaps, and if this is too fiddly and mechanical, just shut me down. In the meantime, to like talk with people about who they think is going to win, I basically like to indulge my passion for gossip to like see what people think about the other people during this game and kind of get the sense of, oh, I've heard that these people are whatever, and this person's definitely going to be the best, or these people are going to embarrass themselves and that whole kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
You are able to engage in that. The kind of go-to is going to be either a culture or sentiment to kind of engage with rumors. However, if you want to get creative with it and use a different skill, I'll hear you out.
Sorry, 1 second. It's a little gamey, but could I perhaps use games because it's kind of subjecting around them playing this?
Yeah, since you're talking about kind of like, you're not like actually betting because that would be dishonorable, but you're kind of placing like the gentleman's bet, like, oh, I think so-and-so is going to win and here's why, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of getting other people's like opinions of these people through this little, not a bet, but kind of a bet. And as far as...
And Oda, are you going to be participating in this one?
Yeah, but I'm going to be annoying also if I can and ask you if I can appeal to Tombo. And I don't know if it's like a common strategy or if this would be dishonorable, but I basically want to try to do my best to make sure that she wins.
Yes, you can.
But not in like a way that makes her feel foolish.
It is one of those things that like you kind of set up alliances. Like you go in and you're like, okay, we're going to make sure that we make it to the end kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But like to say that you're going to fall on your sword and let somebody else win, that would be a no-no.
I was picturing that anyways, just like going up to her and being like, I've never been like super good at this game. What about you? Maybe we should team up kind of thing.
Yeah, she will She's actually going to open up to you, and she starts kind of laughing, and she goes, I'm terribly clumsy. I did not inherit that from my mother. I'll be lucky if I make it through this round, but I will participate. It is quite fun.
He laughs too, and he says, I think we'll make a great team then, because my large stature hasn't really made me the most finesseful person. And do you want me to roll, or are we doing Jeff's thing first?
Go ahead and roll your TN2 fitness, and you can throw it in the chat, and then I'll do some narration.
Okay.
And then for Jeff, did you have an idea of what you want to do?
Yeah, so I'm going to use a water games check here. I think to kind of win them over with the conversation. Just kind of try to get people's kind of spirits up, but also kind of in that lifting of spirits that they are maybe a little more loose-lipped. Get their opinions on these different people.
Okay. Are you trying to do like an appeal to a person or group? Scheme action?
So this is just to indulge in the gossip. So I don't know if that's kind of its own.
So the way a passion works is you perform a skill that's related to your passion, and then you get your strife removed. So the cool thing is you can engage in your passion of spreading rumors and basically rumor mongering while also conducting a scheme.
I see. Well, the actual rumor that I want to use my actual scheme thing for is not, I guess, wouldn't be a passion of gossip. It's a little more big. So I don't know if that would apply.
Yeah, there actually is an intrigue action called spread a rumor. Basically, you tell me what you want to spread, and I'll tell you how difficult it is.
Well, I'm not sure if that would apply for yeah, I guess I don't know. I thought it was kind of like its own action to indulge in it, so I'm not prepared to.
You could appeal. I was gonna say, if you want to make things easier for you in the future, you could appeal to the group so that the group looks upon you favorably in the future when you go to spread another rumor.
Yeah, I'll do that. Basically, just trying to appeal. Basically, like, we're not taking bets, but let's kind of get into the game. Let's make this a little bit more enjoyable for everybody.
What people are you going to engage with? The easiest group is going to be the crab. The crab love betting. In fact, they brought a game of betting to Imperial Winter Court, which was a terrible idea. The hardest to engage with would probably be the unicorn. Would also be super easy to engage with. Would probably be the dragon. The dragon don't really like, they're detached from the world, generally speaking, so they wouldn't really care to participate in that.
I think it's going to be the unicorn because of what I have planned for later, for after the game.
I think for that, it's not going to take much for you to shine up to them, but you are posing as a lion, so it's probably going to take like 4 successes to be able to, or 4 points to be able to do it. And bonus successes are still going to only net you 1 point of warming up to them because your clans are almost at war.
Okay. I did not get that. I got 2 successes and an opportunity.
Okay, cool. So you engage your passion, so you're going to remove 3 strife, and then with your successes, the unicorn that you are speaking with is Moto Nahid, who she participated, but she was knocked out super early. She kind of chit-chats with you. She seems to think that Moto Kaketsu is who she thinks is going to win. But, or at least that's who she thought was going to win. But it seems that Akodo Katashi seems to have a fire lit underneath him, and is now playing with a fervor that she did not expect.
Interesting. And can I use my opportunity for water to also remove even more strife?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to do that. Yeah, just kind of take that moment to put myself among some of the unicorn, get their ideas. But again, I'll save my big scheme action for after the event.
Yeah, she's probably the easiest to talk to because she's young. But you haven't like gained friends yet in the unicorn. That's what the shooting for 3 or 4 successes is. All right, so for Oda, because I'm going to go inside order here, 5 successes, 2 strife, and 1 opportunity with water. And you've got an idea for your opportunity. Sure, let's hear you out.
All right, so I see the water is that you can use an opportunity to perform the task efficiently or quickly. It says with saving supplies, but what I'm imagining 5 successes means that we did pretty good, right? Before I get too far ahead of myself.
You did pretty good.
Yeah, so I imagine that Oda was like actually pretty good at this game, but he was downplaying himself. But Tombo was completely honest, and she was absolutely terrible. But like he like tried so hard to like he was literally like diving around when she would do like terrible kicks, and like by the end of the round or game, depending on if I won or not, he's like dripping with sweat. The strife is kind of showing in how much he exerted himself to win, but the opportunity will be spent with like Tombo feeling like they were like a team together, and that they did it together, and that she doesn't feel like he carried the weight.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to modify her rankings real quick. Without your help, she clearly would have failed this event. But she was able to score 1 point.
Perfect.
And then for Akodo, let's see here. Water with... Sorry, I need to notate your score as well. Since you went in with water.
So did I get 3 in the last one in the shoji because I won? I used fire, and in the new Sokomajin? Is that how it works?
Yes. You got 3 points in the last event.
Okay, cool.
So for the last event, it was Itagawa with 1, Akodo with 3, and Akoma with 2. For this event, let's see here. 5 successes. Let me just see how that goes against my front runner here. Okay. And then for tie, 3 successes, 2 opportunity, 2 strife, using 2 opportunities to spot interesting physical detail present, but not related to your current task. Okay. I think you are able to notice the same thing that kind of that Moto Nahid picked up on, is that Katashi seems to be present in the game. Like he's definitely competing, and he sees you and him as the only competitors that matter.
Okay, interesting.
As far as how the event overall goes, Oda has worked himself to a sweat and is finally like gotten to the end. Tombo has fallen off, of course, and Oda is about to just kind of give up because he's worked himself to death, and then through a bad slip up, Shiba Kuzan, your father, who has always been super good at this game, drops the ball. And it doesn't even occur to you at first that you've actually beaten your father at this game. And it's not until they announce the winner, a very excited Asahina Tamaki grabs your hand, and she says, "We have a new winner this winter. Itagawa no Akodo Oda."
And I imagine I'm just like one hand's being held up, the other's on my knees, like heavy panting. Everybody else was kind of just like going about their day, but I've like borderline ran a marathon for how hard I tried to keep Tombo into the game.
Yeah, definitely.
And then if I could, I'd go up and like maybe like high five or even hug her if that's appropriate, and be like, "Yeah, we did this. It was us."
Both of those would be inappropriate.
Oh,
but
okay.
If you want to shed your mask and unmask here, that's a good way to do it.
Is it a good way to do it?
I mean, it'll cause something.
Could I know, because obviously my characters would know the ramifications, like how what would happen?
Because I'm going to be completely straightforward with you guys on this stuff. The ramifications of unmasking in court, especially public, you will lose honor. However, when you unmask, you're able to accomplish things that socially you would never be able to do. What this would do in the scene, and this is my suggestion, you can always change this, is give her the idea that you might be able to be more than friends in the future. Which is a very subtle thing, but has a huge impact. Because you don't make physical contact with anybody you don't actually care for, and that's the way society works.
Oof. So bad though. Yeah, we'll unmask.
Okay.
I'll just be caught up in myself and go up and kind of just run up and hug her and just be like, yeah, we couldn't have done this together, and then realize that
you're in front of everyone.
Yeah.
A little crab floats by in a boat and says, "Kiss me, girl." Sha-la-la-la-la-la.
You stop it.
Yeah, it's this moment where actually, if you go to the unmasking section of the book, there's a crane who gets kissed by a scorpion, I think is what the picture is. I don't have it open to the page right now, but like it's that moment where everybody who's like part of court immediately fans open and cover faces. Nobody says anything as you embrace her in a hug, and the only one who is not covering her face and is just full-blown showing it all is her mother, Akodo Shara, who is more amused than you would like her to be in this situation. The Dragonfly have always been a little weird, so who knows?
Yeah,
suddenly you have a new enemy with Tombo Aboon too.
I'm cringing on the outside.
Yeah, Tombo Aboon is he's taken back. Like for a few moments, you embrace her, and everybody is baffled, and then Tombo like puts his shoulder into you to move you away from her. Like it doesn't take much. It's not a hard hit. It's just kind of this, you need to stop kind of thing.
Yeah, and as soon as he realizes that he's caught up in it, that he absolutely would be totally embarrassed and borderline ashamed of himself, like head kind of hung low, I guess.
Excellent. So, Jeff, you said you have a scheme action that you'd like to use to wrap up our session?
Yes. I'm going to turn up the dials on this court here. I'd like to, again, use a Court of Whispers to spread a rumor like a storm.
Okay.
I have already rolled. And again, I have 5 successes, an opportunity, and a strife. I'm going to use the opportunity to make the action subtle and be harder to trace to me. And feeding off of my last rumor of the desperation of the lion Akodo family with their one remaining son, I'd like to spread the rumor revealing, or I guess it's a rumor, but it's true, that Akodo Dono tried to have his son killed, and that it was a scorpion, not scorpion, a unicorn vassal that he sent after it so they could pin it on him.
Okay. So go ahead and do your technique, and let's see some dice rolls.
Yeah, I rolled, and it's 5 successes.
Jeez. Okay. Yeah, it succeeds.
I used a void point for that, by the way.
Okay. Okay, let me think for a second. Okay. Akodo Takao, you are finishing up with chatting with your father, Akodo Hikaru, and you can hear people whispering, and all of a sudden you can feel all the eyes in court settling on both you and your father for different reasons. The whole 2 samurai embraced thing suddenly disappears from everyone's mind. There are looks of fear, disgust, shame, and pity amongst everybody inside the room as they look upon both of you. Do you have any last words, or would you rather leave it there?
Man, I don't like. This is the one thing that, like, now that he's back in the family, he does not want to be pitied more than anything. And I don't think it completely sinks in for a second. Like, he doesn't understand what's going on. Does he hear somebody say something?
I think just from the edge of your hearing, you can hear the Moto were supposed to kill him.
Oh no. And
like, there's this moment where, like, you kind of tense and you look at your father to see what his reaction is, and you can see that same tensing in him because he's heard it all too.
I hope he sees my surprise, because I'm not the one spreading this. I don't want to, like, ruin him. This isn't me. So that means he would know that somebody else would know, right? Because my surprise is genuine.
Yeah, I think the reaction between the two of you is going to stay there, and that's going to be the end of our session. Next one, we're probably going to pick up right where we left it, because that's a good spot to continue. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. It was a little slower, kind of like session 1 was, but I think a lot of cool stuff happened. We saw some status changes, some glory changes. We got somebody who's a Twitch affiliate now, so that's pretty cool. For people that do tune in and watch the game later on, let us know what you guys have been thinking about this whole thing, because, like, I'm surprised by a lot of the turns here. Literally, I wrote up a bunch of, like, Winter Court events, and they are running the show from here, because that's the best way as a GM to run Winter Court. Let your players sink each other.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. I'm literally just trying to be a good son, and then somebody sinks me from the rafters.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you at the gaming table.